Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at Optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to Optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at Optimistic.tv as well. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. It is a fabulous Friday here in the studio as I record, and as always, feeling grateful to have the opportunity to connect, share, grow with each and every one of you. Yeah, so today, it's a Friday episode. I've been doing some different things, doing throwback shows, and of course, we have the P-Head Posse a lot of times on Friday. I like to mix it up when we're doing retreats. We had the retreat guests. So today, I think I'm gonna pull out a book. Haven't read in a minute. It's been probably a couple months or so, and I was reading. Last time I read from a book, little short stories from the Big Book of Angel Stories by Jenny Smedley, and I thought I would do that again because, yeah. Who doesn't like a good story? Who doesn't like story time that listens to this show? Pretty sure everyone that listens to this show likes story time. And it, in this case, where you have non-physical, multidimensional beings interacting with humanity, I find it so fascinating as a concept. And in this case, there's this book has a bunch of different chapters. I read from Angel Rescuers chapter previously, so I'm going to switch that up. I'm going to bring in a few stories from Angels Bringing Past Life Knowledge chapter, and of course, past lives are something we've talked a lot about on the show, and the way I see it is really more like, past is one way to say it. It's relative truth, right? From one perspective, it is the past, if it were the 1800s. From another perspective, or your fifth birthday is in the past. From another perspective, it's happening on another channel in this now, right? It's all happening in the now. So I just watched recently the show Watchmen on HBO, which highly recommend, certainly relevant to a lot of what's going on. The first episodes, there's a lot to do with like kind of racism issues within the show's context, and that's relatable to what's happening in the world. But it gets towards the end of the first season is out on HBO. It gets really, really cool with Dr. Manhattan and how he perceives everything out. He's a sort of, and if you don't know the movie or the show, I'll just tell you a little bit. He's basically he was a human who became like a godlike character after an accident, and he perceives everything simultaneously. And so there's a whole episode where he's just, interacting, or two episodes where everything he's doing, he's talking about, how now, and sometimes he's referring to 10 years in the past or 10 years in the future, this is happening, and he's always experiencing it all at the same time. And so it's just a very interesting vantage point to think about your past lives or future lives are actually happening on another channel, happening now. And in his case, and the way they show it, and I think that's really a glimpse into what our future selves or another iteration of us when we are in our more like higher self state. We're seeing things, everything at once. So it's all, the fifth birthday party is happening the same moment the 55th birthday party is happening, and you're perceiving them both equally depending on where you sort of shift your focus. You can tune in to any and all of it. So yeah, pretty fascinating concept. And certainly there's some great books out there. I believe this author has actually written some books on past life related stuff. There's some great recommendations I'd make, like Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. Maybe I'll read from that one day. It's been a long time since I read that, but that's a doctor who started doing hypnotherapy, and then people would start going into past life stuff, and he would explore. He wasn't really, I think originally, if I recall, he wasn't trying to go there, and one of his patients kind of went there, and he's like, hold on, what is this? He started exploring past life stuff, and then actually people were able to heal things in this life by reliving and sort of processing, integrating, and releasing past life trauma that was showing up as a reflection in this lifetime, as a blockage, maybe a fear of heights, or a sickness that came that was tied to something from another lifetime. And then once they moved through it, that sickness would disappear, where doctors had no understanding of it or ability to help heal them. And so when you look at, and according to Brian Weiss, and there's others, many stories where people have had healings through past life regression that no normal doctors could help. That's a really interesting piece of evidence pointing to the validity of these things, I would say. So obviously looking at everything with an open mind and healthy skepticism, and certainly for me, I don't think it's any weirder that I would have lived a different life than the fact that I'm living this one, because we've just gotten used to the strange phenomenon that is, us being here and connecting right now. Like, where the heck did you come from? You've just gotten used to the magic of it all, right? So with that being said, a little something for you to ponder. I'm going to pick up this book, The Big Book of Angel Stories. This is the chapter called Angels Bringing Past Life Knowledge. This is Elisa's story. My story begins with a dream I had at 4 years old. My mother would put me to bed, and as I lay curled up on my side, looking at a painting on the wall, I imagined all the creatures from the picture going about their daily business. There were foxes, rabbits, squirrels, badgers, mice, and birds in a woodland scene with all the characters dressed up and going shopping, riding bicycles, cleaning windows, and living like little people in their tiny village made of trees. Then I would look up at a hole in the ceiling where a pipe ran into the loft, and in my imagination, a fox would come running down the pipe. At this point, I began to hear footsteps, and my heart would beat with fear. Don't make me go. Mommy, please don't make me go with him. The Sandman's coming. Mommy, please don't make me go, I'd plead. But she told me that I had to. There's no choice in the matter. I'd hear the boots, black boots, thump, thump, and terrified I'd be put in a cart and taken away. Then I was in some kind of bathhouse where all was a kind of sepia color. There were many women in the same room, and none of us had clothes on. I was about 8 years old and aware that my auntie and one of my sisters were also there. Then I would wake up still terrified. The dream was recurrent for a long time until eventually I stopped dreaming about the Sandman, the cart, and all the naked women in the bathhouse. The memory of it all, however, stayed with me for life. I was born in 1957, the middle daughter of 3 female siblings to Jewish parents, neither of whom had any direct experience of the Holocaust. My mother recalls her own mother taking in a Jewish refugee in Manchester during the Second World War, and eventually learning about the horrors of the Holocaust through the media. My father joined the Royal Air Force and spent time as a radio engineer in Egypt and the Middle East, but had no connection with what was going on in wartime Europe. As children, we were overprotected to the point of being smothered and shielded from anything to do with the attempt to obliterate an entire race, my own race. At 4 years old, I knew nothing about the Holocaust, and yet it seemed as though my dream was triggered by an inexplicable memory of something terrifying and horrific. A shy and nervous child, I was terrified by school. Uniforms made me very uncomfortable. During my adolescence, the showers at school were an experience I had to avoid at all costs, as the mere thought of having to take off my clothes in front of others scared me to death. Desperately unhappy in a rigidly controlled academic institution, I was asked to leave my grammar school at 14 due to my work not being up to standard. The reason was the fact that the school environment, to me, felt like some kind of prison camp. The teachers like Gestapo officers, and I was bullied and called a fat Jew girl. I recall an incident when I was 13 and my mother took me to have my hair cut. The hairdresser cut it too short for my liking. I screamed with horror, demanding my mother should buy me a wig to cover up the short hair. I wore the wig until my hair had grown back to what I considered to be an acceptable length. On another occasion, at the dentist, I began to scream with terror as he pulled a tooth, my reaction prompted by a vision of some other world or lifetime. By the time I reached 15, as a misfit and a victim, I had taken my first overdose. The second followed in my early 20s during my first marriage. My career was unstable until my second marriage, motherhood, and an opportunity to enter an open-ended period of psychotherapy. When my son started school, I resumed a counseling diploma that I had started years previously but had been unable to continue due to adverse financial circumstances. 5 years intensive study, following years of spiritual searching, inner exploration, and working with alternative therapists looking at the possibility of past lives led to a master's degree in psychotherapy and healing at the age of 52. A big achievement for someone who had left schools with 2 O levels. My dissertation was based upon my own spiritual journey and the research I'd undertaken into past life therapy and the question of the transmission of memory for second and third generation Holocaust survivors. As part of my research, I undertook various forms of regression therapy. In every regression, I found myself, after being captured by the Nazis, standing in a line of naked women. There were piles of suitcases on the ground, reading glasses, hair from where heads had been shaved, and clothes. Screams could be heard where teeth were being pulled out. And then there were the showers. But they weren't showers at all, and I screamed as the gas was turned on and I knew that I was going to die. But I was only 8 years old. I knew nothing of death. Surrounded by terrified women, I was nevertheless completely alone. During one regression session on a weekend workshop with Dr. Roger Wolger, author of Other Lives, Other Selves, after re-experiencing the death and while in trance, I found myself traveling through layers of gray fog and colors changed and became lighter. A short transcript of part of the session follows. Suffocating, no breathing. It's over. Where are you? I don't know. Can you see your body? It's on the ground, still in the room. I'm not dead yet. My body is huddled on the floor. There are other bodies around and above. I don't know what's happened. Where's Mommy? I left my doll. They all look lost. It's all gray. Why is it all gray? It's cold. So cold. I don't understand. Life is over. I don't know what happens after people die. Why did Mommy go? Why did she leave me? Crying, holding the crying end. Can't let it out now. I can see now piles of clothes, the smell burning big fires. It's not me. It used to be. I stay a long time looking for Mommy. Can't find anyone now. Floating above it. Just cold. Still looking for Mommy. It's like we're all lost. We're in a mass of gray hovering over, all confused. Bodies are being thrown into a furnace. I see my body being thrown in. It's getting lighter. The colors change. Different colors. Still cold, shivering, and trembling. I see what's happening still. More people going in and smoke and screaming. They're pulling teeth out. Coughing, changing color. Orange, green, pink, gold. All changing everywhere. There's something at the end of the tunnel. A gold figure. An angel? Arms outstretched. I can come. It's okay. Will Mommy be there? He says it's okay. Embraces me. Bit warmer. I'll take you. He's taking me to Mommy. Crying. Is it all right now? It's not cold anymore? An energy. Ask why she left. They took her away. That's why she sent me away. She hoped I'd escape. She holds me for a long time. The most profound part of the session, and the most healing, termed in therapeutic language healing in the Bardo, the Tibetan Buddhist term for the realm to which we go after we have passed, was meeting the most amazing light being, a golden figure of pure loving energy, what I felt must surely be some kind of an angel. The following year, we were traveling in Egypt and spending a week in Aswan. While relaxing by the hotel swimming pool, I noticed an attractive older woman moving her hands around one of the guests who lay with her eyes closed on a sunbed in the shade. She was dressed modestly in the style of a smart Muslim woman, complete with headscarf, although she was a white woman and not Egyptian. Being familiar with many types of spiritual healing, this was nothing new for me, but I was intrigued to speak to her, and I approached her when she had completed the healing process she'd been working with. Over the course of the next few days, I came to know Ingrid Hartman, Fatima, as a friend, healer, and profound mystic. I arranged a healing session with her for the following day, and we agreed to meet in the hotel lobby. As I went to greet her at the arranged time, she immediately took something from her handbag and said to me, "A healer friend of mine gave this to me and said that it was yours." It was a picture of the angel Uriel and handed me what looked like a photograph. It was the identical figure that I'd seen met during my regression session, an angel of golden light. Oh, wow. Pretty cool. Uriel, huh? Very cool. Yeah, it seems like I've heard a lot of regression kind of stories of people, tied to the Holocaust. Seems like it's certainly a theme, and I guess time-wise in our, where we're at now, that wasn't too terribly long ago, and it was a lot of people that went out that way, right? So, what an interesting thing to connect with an angelic entity across lifetimes like that. Okay, here's a shorter one, time for one more here. This is Alice Jean's story. My friend Renee emailed several people on her list to say that her friend Gigi had to find a home for 2 cats her mother couldn't take to the nursing home. Gigi and her husband are trying to move out of state with their dog and 2 cats. There was a photo included, but I didn't look at it. I didn't even look because I was saying in my head, no, we don't need 2 more cats. They were a neutered male and a spayed female that had been together all their lives and were about 10 years old. Both were black and white. She'll be okay and find them a home, I told myself. Then hubby came home from work and asked me if I got the email from Renee and did I look at the photos. He pulled them up on his computer to show me, and I couldn't take my eyes off a photo of one of the cats especially. He looked familiar to me, but I didn't want to think about it. I did email this concern to Gigi and told her not to worry. I would also ask around. If it came down to it, I'd foster them at least. Then it all began. Gigi and I emailed each other and couldn't get over the synchronicities in our lives. I wish I could send you all those emails. They're unbelievable. Then I said we'd come to get the kitties as the month was running out and they'd have had no other offers. My knees were really hurting that day, so I sat downstairs while hubby went up with Gigi and John to put the 2 cats on the carriers so I didn't see their faces till they were put in the car. Before I got in the car, I peeked in on them, and when I looked into the eyes of the male, for some reason I found myself asking him, "Is that you?" He answered me with a 1-syllable meow. I almost started to cry right there. I just knew he was my big, male, black and white Smudgy, who had died many years before. I had loved him so much, and he had loved me too. He was so big and such a happy guy till the day he got sick. The vet did all kinds of blood work, etc., in an effort to save Smudgy, but to no avail, and he was sure he had gotten some kind of poison. I figured that in a few days I'd know for sure if the new cat was the one I'd lost. I needed a good sign. It only took a day. I was about to open my eyes the first morning they were there when I felt a cat jump on the bed, a 22-pound cat. I kept my eyes closed as I felt him making his way up towards the pillows. I was on my right side with my arm and hand on the middle pillow as I felt him hoist his weight just right to where he wanted to settle. Then I got my sign. He put his head in my hand. Total deja vu. It surprised me so much I didn't move a muscle. I just opened my eyes to see that he had his chin tilted up so that I could see the faint black smudge under his chin. My kitty that had died of kidney failure many years ago had had this smudge, not a patch of black fur, slightly larger in the same place, and got named Smudgy the day he was born. Oh, and Gigi's mother had named him Angel Kitty. The female who is not his litter mate, it's Abigail, and so sweet. She acts as if she knows me too, and I'm trying to figure her out. She came to my side of the bed the first night they were there, meowing and rubbing on the bed. I got up and picked her up, and she purred. So I put her on the bed, and she stayed. Okay, well, that's another one. That one wasn't... I didn't really see an angel... Oh, I guess Angel Kitty is the same. That one's a little less angelic, but still somewhat interesting. Yeah, these are fun. There's quite a few more here. So perhaps we'll revisit them someday when we want a little story time. And with that being said, I hope the story of your life is extra magical. This moment, this now. Go out and expect magic. Call in some synchronicity. Call in an angelic encounter. Call it all in. Be open and receptive. And in that childlike state, it is there waiting for us all the time. And we get so caught up in the day-to-day humdrum of our lives that we forget how magical the fact that we exist at all truly is. And when we can open up and call it in, there is really no limit as to what can come into your field. And this moment forward, within the next an hour from hearing this, you could have something so magical that it just absolutely blows your mind. Be open to it. Till next time, love you all so, so much. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.